Hey guys, tonight we're diving into the scandal-soaked world of ancient Rome, where the air hums with ambition, betrayal, and the faint clink of wine goblets. Picture yourself in a marble palace, torchlight flickering on gilded walls, the scent of myrrh lingering as whispers of treachery slither through the corridors. We're talking about Messalina, Rome's Empress of lust and betrayal, a woman whose name still sparks raised eyebrows. You probably wouldn't survive a single day in her world. One wrong glance and you'd be dodging daggers or worse. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I love knowing where you're drifting off from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're born Valeria Messalina, sometime around 17 or 20 CE, in the heart of Rome's elite. The city sprawls around you, a chaotic maze of temples, markets, and tenements, where the Tiber's muddy waters reflect the grandeur and grit of an empire at its peak. Your family's no ordinary one. You're a blue blood, with veins practically pulsing with imperial connections. Your mother, Domitia Lefida, is a beauty with a sharp tongue, descended from Mark Antony himself. Your father, Marcus Valerius Messala Barbatus, ties you to the old Republican nobility, though he's less flashy than your mom. You grow up in a world of privilege, where slaves fan you with peacock feathers, and tutors drone on about rhetoric and poetry. But let's be real, you're not just memorizing Virgil. You're watching the adults, soaking up the art of charm, manipulation, and survival in a city where power shifts faster than a chariot race. Rome's a pressure cooker, and you're a teenager in the Julio-Claudian dynasty's shadow. Your cousin is Caligula, the emperor whose idea of fun includes executions and calling himself a god. You're close enough to the throne to feel its heat, but not close enough to sit on it yet. The Palatine Hill, where you live, buzzes with gossip. Who's sleeping with whom? Who's plotting against the emperor? Who's got the best vintage Falernian wine? You're sharp, noticing how women, like your mother, wield influence through whispers and well-timed smiles. Historians later say you were groomed for greatness. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some claim your family's villa had a secret room for auguries, where priests read entrails to predict your future. True or not, you're learning early that in Rome, fate's a game you rig. Your childhood isn't all luxury. You're a girl in a man's world, expected to be a bargaining chip in marriage alliances. By your early teens, you're already catching eyes. Your beauty's the talk of the elite, though some whisper it's your boldness that really turns heads. You're not just another noble girl. You've got a spark that makes people nervous. The streets of Rome hum with omens, comets, earthquakes, and priests shouting about the gods' displeasure. You're too young to fully grasp it, but the empire's a tinderbox, and you're about to become one of its brightest flames. Historians still argue whether you were a schemer from the start, or just a product of Rome's cutthroat culture. Either way, you're not here to play nice, you're here to play the game. As you grow, you're shaped by the women around you. Your mother's scandals, divorces, lovers, teach you that power comes with risks. Your aunt, Agrippina the Elder, is exiled for defying the emperor, a lesson in what happens when you push too far. Yet you're drawn to the thrill of it all. The Senate's a circus, with toga-clad men shouting about honor while plotting in back rooms. You learn to read faces, to spot the difference between a smile and a smirk. By 15, you're no innocent. You're a young woman, with ambition curling in your chest like a sleeping cat. The historical fact is stark. Girls like you were married off young, often to men twice their age, to cement alliances. For you, that man's waiting just around the corner, and his name's Claudius. You're Valeria Messalina, barely out of your teens, and Rome's already sizing you up like a prize at the forums market. Your family ties are your currency, and they're pure gold. Your mother, Domitia Lefida, isn't just a noble woman with a sharp wit. She's got Mark Antony's blood, which makes you part of Rome's founding mythos. Your father, Marcus Valerius Messala Barbatus, links you to the old Republican clans, the kind that still grumble about emperors stealing their glory. You're a walking nexus of power. Caught in the web of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, where every cousin, uncle, or aunt seems to either wear a crown or end up in exile. You're not just navigating a family tree. You're dodging its thorns, and trust me, you wouldn't survive a single holiday dinner with this crew. Too many daggers under the table. Growing up, you're surrounded by imperial shadows. Your cousin Caligula's running the show now, strutting around like Jupiter incarnate, while his sisters, your cousins too, plot and preen. Agrippina the younger, your aunt's daughter, is already a master at playing innocent while sharpening knives. You see how she works a room, how a well-placed laugh can shift alliances. The Palatine's a labyrinth of whispered deals and sidelong glances, and you're learning fast. Your family's villa, all marble and mosaics, hums with secrets. Here's a quirky tidbit. Rumor has it your mother once paid a fortune teller to curse a rival's marriage, claiming it secured your father's loyalty. Whether it's true or just spicy gossip, you're picking up the art of bending others to your will. Your connections aren't just social, they're political dynamite. Through your mother, you're tied to Augustus, Rome's first emperor, which makes you a darling of the old guard. But it's a double-edged sword. Being so close to the throne paints a target on your back. Caligula's court is a circus of paranoia. Senators grovel, freedmen scheme, and Praetorian guards watch everyone. You're young, but you're not naive. You notice how your family's name opens doors, but also draws eyes. A historical fact anchors this. The Julio-Claudian dynasty was so inbred that marriages were less about love and more about keeping power in the family. Your own path is already being paved, and it's leading straight to a man nobody expects to wear the purple. The empire's a stage, and you're learning your lines. Your mother's scandals teach you that. Reputation's a fragile thing. Hers took a hit when she tangled with the wrong senator's wife, yet she's still invited everywhere, proof that charm trumps gossip. You're starting to mimic her, practicing coy smiles in polished bronze mirrors. Meanwhile, Rome's streets pulse with life. Vendors hawk fish sauce, priests chant at altars, and gladiators bleed for cheering crowds. You're not shielded from it. You're out there, carried in a litter, soaking in the chaos. Historians still argue whether your ambition was born here, in these early years, or if Rome's ruthless culture molded you later. Did you dream of power, or did it just find you? Either way, you're a spark in a city of kindling, and the next step is a marriage that'll change everything. You're Valeria Messalina, barely 18, and Rome's about to tie you to a man most people laugh off as a has-been. His name's Claudius. Yep, that Claudius, the stuttering, limping uncle of Emperor Caligula, who everyone thinks is more suited to scribbling histories than ruling anything. You're standing in a sunlit atrium, draped in a silk stola that costs more than a farmer's yearly wage, while your mother fusses over the betrothal arrangements. The air smells of roses and incense, but there's a sour undertone of politics. This marriage isn't about love. It's a chess move. Your family's betting on Claudius's quiet connections, his overlooked status in the imperial game. You wouldn't survive a day in this matchmaking mess. One wrong word, and you're shipped off to some backwater province. But you're sharp, and you're ready to play the hand you're dealt. Claudius is no catch by Roman standards. He's pushing 50 with a limp from childhood, illness and a stammer that makes senators smirk behind their hands. The court treats him like a harmless oddity, the guy who'd rather read scrolls than wield power. But you see something else. He's survived Caligula's purges, which means he's either lucky or cunning. You're not blind to the whispers. Some say he plays the fool to stay alive. Your wedding's a low-key affair, at least by Rome's standards. No grand processions, just a ceremony in a villa with a few senators and your family's inner circle. You wear a flame-colored veil symbolizing purity, though the irony isn't lost on you. The guests toast with Falernian wine, and you catch Claudius's eyes, sharp, calculating, not the bumbling scholar everyone assumes. Life as Claudius's wife starts quietly. You move into his modest house on the Palatine, a far cry from the sprawling palaces of Caligula's favorites. The walls are lined with scrolls, and the man spends hours scribbling notes on Etruscan history. You're not just a trophy wife, though. You're watching, learning how power flows in this city. Caligula's reign is a fever dream, public executions, divine cosplay, and a treasury bleeding dry from his parties. You're close enough to the throne to hear the rumors. Caligula's burning through allies, and the Praetorian Guards getting twitchy. You start building your own network, charming freedmen and senators' wives with your wit. A quirky tidbit floats around. You once gifted a pearl earring to a Vestal virgin. A bold move that raised eyebrows but won you allies among the pious. Your role as Claudius's wife puts you in a weird spot.
You're not the emperor's wife, so you're not a target yet.
But you're close enough to the imperial family to feel the heat. Claudius dotes on you, maybe because you're young and vibrant, maybe because you're smarter than he expected. You give birth to your first child, a daughter named Claudia Octavia, in 39C. It's a historical fact that imperial births were political events, your babies. A pawn in the dynasty's game, tying you tighter to the Julio-Claudians. You're a mother now, but don't think it's all lullabies and swaddling. You're still navigating a court where loyalty shifts like sand. Caligula's sisters, Agrippina and Julia Livilla.
Are you warily sensing a rival?
You smile back, all sweetness, while mentally cataloguing their weaknesses. Then in 41 CE, everything flips. Caligula's assassinated, stabbed in a corridor by his own guards.
Rome holds its breath. Will it be civil war, another emperor, or chaos?
You're at Claudius's side when the Praetorians, those kingmakers in armor, drag him from behind a curtain and proclaim him emperor. You're stunned, but you don't miss a beat. Overnight, you're not just a noblewoman. You're Empress of Rome. The Palatine's your new playground.
And you're ready to step into the spotlight.
Historians still argue whether you pushed Claudius to embrace the throne or if he surprised everyone with his own ambition. Did you see the crown coming, or were you just along for the ride? Either way, you're now at the center of an empire.
And the game's about to get deadly.
Your new status comes with perks, a private guard, a suite of rooms dripping with mosaics, and slaves who anticipate your every whim. But it's not all banquets and silk cushions. Claudius leans on you, trusts your instincts, maybe because he knows the court underestimates you both. You start whispering names, senators to promote, rivals to watch.
You're not just arm candy.
You're a player. The Senate's still reeling from Caligula's madness.
And they're not thrilled about Claudius, the cripple emperor.
You sense their disdain, but you also see opportunity. Or you host dinners, dazzling guests with your charm, while Claudius stumbles through speeches. The court's buzzing, and you're already planning your next move. Because in Rome, standing still means getting crushed. You're Valeria Messalina, now Empress of Rome, and the Palatine Hill feels like a chessboard where every piece is plotting against you. The year is 41 CE, and Claudius, your improbable husband, is emperor, his stammering voice somehow commanding the world's greatest empire. You're in your early 20s, with a beauty that makes senators stutter and a mind sharper than a gladius. The palace is your new stage, marble floors cool under your feet, tapestries swaying in the breeze, the distant roar of the Colosseum, reminding you Rome's
always hungry for spectacle.
You wouldn't survive a day as empress without a knack for spotting traps. One misstep, and you're exiled, or worse, your name erased from the annals. But you're not here to fade, you're here to shine. Power suits you, but it's not handed to you on a silver platter. Claudius is emperor, sure, but he's no Augustus. The Senate scoffs at his limp, his obsession with dusty scrolls. You see their sneers, hear their whispers. He's a placeholder. You, though, are no placeholder. You step into the role of empress with a swagger,
hosting banquets where the wine
flows and the flattery's thicker than garum sauce. You're charming freedmen senators, even the Praetorian guards who hold the real keys to the throne. Your smile disarms, but your eyes miss nothing. You're building a network, weaving loyalty like a spider spins silk.
A quirky tidbit.
You once gifted a senator's wife a pet parrot trained to mimic. Caligula's laugh, cheeky, but it won you her husband's vote. Rome's political scene is a snake pit. Caligula's assassination left scars, senators purged, families exiled, fortunes seized. Claudius is trying to stabilize things, pardoning some exiles, but you're the one steering the ship. You whisper names to him, who to trust, who to watch. Your influence grows.
Especially with the freedmen who run the palace's daily grind. Men like
Narcissus and Pallas, who owe their wealth to you. You're not just Claudius's wife, you're his advisor, his shield. A historical fact grounds this. Empresses in Rome had no official power, but women like you shaped policy through back channels, using charm and cunning to move mountains. You're proving it, one carefully worded suggestion at a time. But power draws enemies. Caligula's sisters,
Agrippina and Julia Livilla, are back from exile, and they're not here to play nice. Agrippina's got her own ambitions, her son Nero already a pawn in her game.
You keep them close, all smiles, but you're watching their every move. The Senate's another problem. Old Republicans
Dream of ditching emperors altogether.
while others just want a stronger one than Claudius. You counter their plots with your own, hosting lavish games to win the mob's love. Chariot races, gladiator fights, you fund them,
Ensuring the crowds chant your
name as much as Claudius's. Historians
still argue whether
you were a master manipulator or just riding the chaos. Did you orchestrate every move? Or were you improvising in a city that eats the unprepared? Your personal life's no less intense. You give birth to a son, Britannicus in 41c.
cementing your place in the dynasty.
The court celebrates, but you know a prince is a target. You cradle him under flickering oil lamps, wondering who's already plotting against him. Meanwhile, Claudius leans on you more, his trust a double-edged sword. You're indispensable, but that makes you a threat to those who want him weak.
Rumors start swirling. Your beauty's too potent, your party's too wild.
You laugh them off, but you're careful.
Rome loves a scandal, and you're not about to hand them one on a platter.
Not yet, anyway. You're walking a tightrope, and the view's spectacular, but the fall's deadly. You're Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, and the Palatine Hill is your battlefield, a glittering maze of ambition where every smile hides a dagger. It's around 42C, and you're in your prime, early 20s, radiant, with a wit that cuts like a well-aimed javelin. The palace hums with the clink of goblets, the rustle of silk, and the low murmur of secrets traded in shadowed corners. You're not just Claudius's wife,
You're his sharpest weapon.
steering the empire through a court that's as treacherous as a gladiator's arena.
You wouldn't
Survive a day in this viper's
nest without your knack.
for reading people. One wrong alliance, and you're banished to some dusty island or worse. Your name's just a smear in the histories, but you're not here to play it safe. You're here to rule the game. The court's a cauldron of intrigue, and you're stirring it with a gilded spoon. Claudius is emperor, but he's not the commanding type. His speeches stumble, his limp draws snickers. You, though, are his secret strength. You glide through banquets, your laughter disarming senators while your eyes catalogue their loyalties. The freedmen who run the palace's machinery, Narcissus, Pallas, Callistus, are your allies, their wealth and influence tied to your favor. You've got a knack for turning underdogs into power players, and they repay you with whispers of plots before they hatch. Your influence isn't just charm, it's strategy. Rome's still shaky after Caligula's chaos, with senators nursing grudges and the Praetorian Guard watching for weakness. You push Claudius to reward loyalists, promoting men like Aulus Vitellius, who will later have his own brief taste of the throne. You also nudge Claudius toward public works, aqueducts,
Harbours to win the mob's love.
the forum buzzes with your name, not just his. But enemies are everywhere. Agrippina the Younger, your cousin, is back from exile. Her son Nero always at her side, a reminder she's playing a long game. You keep her close, hosting her at dinners where the wine's spiked with flattery, but you're counting her allies. A historical fact anchors this. Women in Rome couldn't hold office, but empresses like you shaped the empire through influence, often outmaneuvering the Senate itself. The court's gossip mill never stops, and you're its favorite topic. Your beauty's legendary: dark eyes, flowing hair, a laugh that lingers like perfume. But whispers hint at more: late-night meetings, too cozy chats with young nobles. You shrug them off, knowing Rome loves to paint its women as schemers or seductresses. Still, you're careful, keeping your inner circle tight. You throw lavish spectacles, chariot races, theatrical shows to dazzle the plebs and distract from the rumors. The Colosseum's roars echo your growing power, but power draws shadows. Senators like Lucius Annius Vinicianus, still bitter about Caligula's fall, plot in private, and you hear their names through your spies. Historians still argue whether you were a master puppeteer or just a young woman caught in Rome's ruthless current. Were you pulling every string, or were you improvising to survive? Your personal life's a balancing act. Britannicus, your son, is a toddler now, and Octavia's growing fast. They're your heart, but also your leverage, proof of your dynastic worth. Claudius adores you, maybe too much. His trust, making you both indispensable and vulnerable. You're not just navigating court politics, you're dodging personal traps. A rival's wife spreads a rumor about you and a Praetorian officer, and you counter with a public gift to the Temple of Vesta, all pious humility. The mob eats it up, but you know the game's never over. Every move you make, every ally won, every rival sidelined builds your legend, but it also paints a bigger target on your back. You're walking a blade's edge, and the drop below is darker than the Tiber at midnight. You're Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, and the Palatine Hill is a glittering cage where every whisper could be your undoing. It's around 43 CE, and you're in your mid-20s.
A vision in silk with a smile that disarms and a mind that never rests.
The palace thrums with the clatter of dishes, the scent of roasted peacock,
And the undercurrent of scandal that follows you like a shadow. You're not just Claudius's wife, you're the pulse of his court.
weaving alliances, and dodging daggers in a city where loyalty's as fleeting as a summer breeze. You wouldn't survive a day in this world of rumors and intrigue. One careless word, and you're fodder for the forum's gossip mill, or worse, a corpse in some back alley. But you're not here to falter.
You're here to fan the flames.
The court's abuzz with stories about you, and not all of them are about your charm. Whispers of affairs swirl like smoke. Senators, actors, even a gladiator or two. Your beauty's a weapon, and Rome's quick to assume you're wielding it in every bedroom. You laugh off the gossip, tossing your hair at banquets where the wine flows and eyes linger. But you're not careless. You know the power of perception, how a well-timed blush can quash a rumor or a bold stare can start one. You keep your inner circle tight, freedmen like Narcissus, who'd sell their own mothers for your favor, and women like Calpurnia, a courtesan turned confidant who knows every secret in Rome. A quirky tidbit? You once gifted Calpurnia a sapphire ring, supposedly to buy her silence about a late-night meeting. True or not, it's the kind of story that keeps the court guessing. Your influence over Claudius is your real power, but it's a tightrope.
He's emperor, but he leans on you, his trust a shield and a shackle.
You whisper names of senators to reward or ruin, and he listens.
Maybe because he sees the steel behind your smile.
You push for executions when threats arise, like Appius Silanus, a governor accused of plotting against Claudius. His death's a historical fact recorded by Tacitus, though some say you orchestrated it after he spurned your advances. You don't confirm or deny. You just keep moving. The Senate grumbles, but you dazzle them with spectacles, chariot races,
Naval battles in artificial lakes.
The mob chants your name and you bask in it, knowing there loves your armor against the elite's disdain. But the rumors of your affairs aren't just idle talk. There's Gaius Silius, a consul's son with a jawline that could cut marble and eyes that linger too long. He's charming, ambitious, and dangerously close to you at every banquet. The court notices, Agrippina certainly does, her smirk sharper than a stiletto. You play it cool, but the thrill of danger's addictive. You're not just flirting, you're testing boundaries, seeing how far you can push before Rome pushes back. Historians still argue whether these affairs were real or
Exaggerated by later writers like
Suetonius, who loved painting you as a seductress. Were you a reckless romantic, or was every move calculated to keep power? Either way, you're playing with fire, and Rome's a city that loves to burn. Your personal life's a battlefield too. Britannicus and Octavia are your pride, but they're also pawns in the dynastic game. Agrippina's son Nero's a constant shadow. his mother whispering of his destiny. You hold your children close, their laughter a rare softness in a world of schemes. Claudius adores you, but his trust makes you a target. Rivals like Agrippina spread stories. Some say you've bribed priests to curse her, a rumor you neither confirm nor deny. You counter with public piety, offering gold to Jupiter's temple, your devotion a mask for your ambition. The court's a chessboard, and you're moving pieces faster than anyone can track. But every move risks checkmate. You're not just surviving, you're thriving. For now, in a city that devours its own, you're Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, and the Palatine's your stage, where every gesture's a performance and every misstep could be your last. It's 44C, and you're at the height of your power, mid-20s, radiant, with a laugh that charms senators and a mind that outmaneuvers them. The palace pulses with life, slaves scurrying with silver trays, the tang of spiced wine in the air, and the constant hum of ambition. You're not just Claudius's wife, you're the shadow behind his throne, pulling strings in a city where power's a deadly game. You wouldn't survive a day in this snake pit without your knack for turning enemies into allies or corpses.
One wrong move and you're exiled to some rocky isle.
Your name a punchline in the forum, but you're not here to fade.
You're here to burn bright.
Your influence over Claudius is ironclad now. He's emperor, but you're his compass, guiding him through Rome's treacherous waters. You nudge him toward decisions that tighten your grip, promotions for loyalists, banishments for threats. Take Lucius Vitellius,
a senator who owes his third consulship to your whispers. He's your creature now.
groveling at your banquets, but power's a magnet for trouble. You're behind the fall of rivals like Julia Livilla, Caligula's sister, exiled for disloyalty after you hint she's plotting. A historical fact, her banishment in 41C, followed by her death, is pinned on your influence. Though Tacitus hints you just didn't like her stealing your spotlight, you don't blink. You smile and move on, hosting games to keep the mob cheering. Your enemies aren't just nobles, they're ideas, whispers, doubts. The Senate's old guard still dreams of a republic, muttering about Claudius's weakness. You counter with spectacle, gladiator fights, triumphs for Claudius's British campaign. You're there, waving from a golden litter, your beauty a weapon that drowns out their grumbles.
A quirky tidbit.
You once bet a fortune on a charioteer named Felix, then gifted him a villa when he won, sparking rumors you were more than a fan. True or not, it's the kind of story that keeps Rome buzzing. You're not just playing the game, you're rewriting the rules using charm, fear, and gold to bend the court to your will. But the whispers about your personal life grow louder. Gaius Silius is still around, his charm a dangerous spark. You're seen together too often, late-night talks, shared laughs at feasts. You know the risk, but the thrill's intoxicating. Agrippina's watching, her son Nero always nearby. A reminder she's biding her time. You keep her close, all honeyed words, but you're counting her moves. Historians still argue whether you were a mastermind or a reckless hedonist. Did you orchestrate every execution to secure your power, or were you just clearing threats in a panic? Either way, you're walking a razor's edge and every step's a gamble. Your children, Britannicus and Octavia, are your heart, but also your leverage. You shield them from the court's venom, knowing their blood makes them targets. Claudius trusts you completely, which is both your strength and your vulnerability. You push for policies that glorify your family, like
naming a new province after Britannicus.
But every move draws eyes. A rival spreads a rumor you've bribed an oracle to predict Claudius's death, and you counter with a public sacrifice, all pious grace. The mob loves it, but the Senate's not fooled. You're not just holding power, you're juggling it, and the higher you climb, the harder the fall. Rome's watching, and it's hungry for your next mistake. You're Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, and the Palatine Hill is your gilded playground, where every banquet is a battlefield and every toast hides a threat. It's around 45 CE and you're in your mid-20s. A vision of elegance with a smile that could melt a
senator's resolve in a
mind that could outwit a philosopher. The palace buzzes with excess, golden candelabras casting flickering shadows, the cloying scent of jasmine, and the clatter of ivory dice at your lavish parties. You're not just Claudius's wife.
You're the heartbeat of his empire.
Orchestrating spectacles that keep Rome dazzled and distracted. You wouldn't survive a day in this world of opulence and intrigue without a knack for turning excess into power, one misstep, and you're the punchline of a plebs tavern joke, or worse.
A body in the Tiber, but you're not here to stumble. You're here to shine.
Your lifestyle is the stuff of legend, and you lean into it. You host feasts that make Caligula's parties look like village potlucks, tables grown under heaps of roasted boar, peacock tongues and flamingo brains, while dancers from Egypt sway to lyre music. You're there, reclining on a silk couch, your laughter ringing over the din, your stola shimmering with pearls. The mob loves you for it. They line the streets to glimpse your litter, draped in purple and gold, carried by Nubian slaves. You fund chariot races and gladiator bouts, ensuring the Colosseum roars with your name.
A quirky tidbit.
You once sponsored a mock sea battle on the Fucine Lake, with real ships and condemned prisoners, just to outdo a rival's festival. The crowd went wild, but the Senate whispered of decadence.
Your extravagance isn't just for show, it's strategy.
Rome's a city of bread and circuses, and you're the master of both. While Claudius buries himself in laws and aqueduct plans, you keep the plebs fed and entertained, cementing their loyalty. You push for public works too, like the port of Ostia, but you make sure your name's tied to every milestone. A historical fact, Claudius's British triumph in 40 Fords, CE was a spectacle you helped stage, with you and Britannicus paraded in a golden chariot to cheers. You know the mob's love is your shield against the Senate's scorn, and you wield it like a gladius. But the elite don't cheer, they seethe, calling you frivolous, a spendthrift, a woman too bold for Rome's traditions. The court's a maze of alliances, and you navigate it with ruthless grace. You reward loyalists like Narcissus, the freedman who's practically your spy network with estates and titles.
Rivals, though, feel your sting. Take Pompeius Magnus, a noble with too much ambition. You whisper to Claudius,
And he's exiled on vague charges of treason. You're not just throwing parties.
you're throwing punches, political ones, and they land hard.
Agrippina's still a thorn, her son Nero always lurking, her smile too knowing. You counter with charm, inviting her to your banquets, but you're watching her every move. Historians still argue whether your excesses were calculated to win hearts or just a young woman's indulgence in power's perks. Were you a genius at distraction, or did the luxury seduce you too? Your personal life's no less intense. Britannicus and Octavia are growing, their innocence a stark contrast to the court's venom. You shield them, but you know their imperial blood makes them targets. Claudius's trust in you is absolute, which makes you indispensable and dangerous. Rumors about Gaius Silius grow louder. His presence at your side during games and dinners sparks talk.
You don't deny it outright, that'd be too obvious, but
You deflect with public piety, offering lavish gifts to Juno's temple. The whispers persist, though, fed by enemies like Agrippina, who's waiting for you to slip.
you're not just living large.
You're living on the edge, and every feast, every gift, every laugh is a roll of the dice in a game where losing means everything. You're Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, and the Palatine Hill is a glittering trap where every whisper could unravel your world. It's 46 CE, and you're in your mid-20s.
A vision of a lure with a laugh that disarms and a
Mind that cuts through Rome's.
chaos like a blade.
The palace hums with decadence, marble halls echoing with lyre music, the air heavy with myrrh and ambition. You're not just Claudius's wife. You're the architect of his court, weaving a web of loyalty and fear. You wouldn't survive a day in this cesspool of gossip and power plays without your knack for turning scandals into leverage, one wrong step.
And you're a cautionary tale. Your name's spat in the forum, but you're not here to crumble.
You're here to rewrite the rules. The court's buzzing with a story that's too wild to ignore. They say you challenged a prostitute to a contest of endurance, a night-long battle of lovers to see who could outlast the other. The tales probably exaggerated. Tacitus and Suetonius love their juicy gossip, but it's rooted in your reputation for pushing boundaries.
A quirky tidbit.
Rumor has it you took the name Lysiska, a nod to a mythical seductress, for this supposed stunt held in a Subura brothel while Claudius snored in the palace. True or not, you lean into the myth, letting Rome whisper while you hold court at banquets, your smile daring anyone to call you out. You know the power of a good story. It keeps the mob enthralled and your enemies guessing. Your real power lies in how you wield influence. Claudius trusts you implicitly, his stammering gratitude a shield you use to push your agenda. You've got freedmen like Narcissus wrapped around your finger,
Feeding you secrets from every corner of the empire.
You're not just throwing parties, you're orchestrating executions. Take the case of Polybius.
A freedman who got too cozy with a senator's wife. You suggest he's plotting.
And he's gone, no questions asked. But the rumors about your private life are growing thorns. Gaius Silius, that dangerously charming consul's son, is a constant presence, his arm brushing yours at feasts, his laughter too intimate. You're not careless, but you're not retreating either. The thrill of danger's a drug.
And you're hooked. Agrippina's watching.
Her eyes sharp as she dandles Nero on her knee, whispering of his future. You counter with public displays, lavish offerings to Venus, prayers for Claudius's health, but the court's not fooled. Historians still argue whether you were a reckless libertine or a strategist using scandal to distract from your power grabs. Were you flirting with ruin or playing a deeper game? Either way, you're dancing on a knife's edge, and the blade's getting sharper. Your children, Britannicus and Octavia, are your anchor in this storm. You teach them to smile for the crowd, but you shield them from the court's poison. Claudius's love for you is your greatest asset, but it's also a chain. His trust makes you a target for every ambitious noble. You hear whispers of a new plot, senators muttering about restoring the republic, freedmen hinting at betrayal. You counter with spectacle, funding a festival where actors reenact Claudius's victories. The mob roars, but the Senate's silent. You're not just holding power, you're juggling fire, and every toss risks a blaze. Rome's watching, and it's betting on your fall. You're Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, and the Palatine Hill is a glittering web where every thread vibrates with danger. It's 47 CE and you're in your mid-20s, a vision of grace with a smile that could charm a viper, and a mind that weaves plots faster than a loom. The palace pulses with intrigue, torchlight flickering on frescoed walls, the scent of spiced wine mingling with the musk of ambition. You're not just Claudius's wife. You're the puppet master of his court, pulling strings in a city where loyalty's as fragile as a clay lamp. You wouldn't survive a day in this den of schemes without your knack for spotting traps. One misstep, and you're exiled to a barren rock or erased from history's scroll. But you're not here to fade. You're here to burn brighter than Rome's eternal fires. Conspiracy's the air you breathe now. The Senate's a nest of vipers, still stinging from Claudius's rule and your influence. You hear whispers of plots, senators like Annius Vinicianus dreaming of a republic, or worse, a new emperor. You don't wait for them to strike. With freedmen like Narcissus as your eyes and ears, you sniff out threats before they bloom. You push Claudius to act. A senator's exiled here.
A freedman's executed there.
Take Valerius Asiaticus's fall last year. His wealth and pride made him a target, and your quiet words to Claudius sealed his fate. A historical fact, Asiaticus's trial in 46 CE was a spectacle, with you allegedly orchestrating charges of treason to seize his gardens. You don't confirm or deny.
You just smile.
Your plots aren't just defensive, you're carving out power. You've got allies like Lucius Vitellius, who'd kiss your sandals for another consulship, and Praetorian officers who owe you their posts. But you're not content with whispers and favors. You're pushing boundaries, testing how far you can stretch your influence.
A quirky tidbit.
They say you once bribed a haruspect to fake an omen, a comet signaling Claudius's strength during a public sacrifice. swaying the mob's fate. True or not, you're a master at bending perception,
using Rome's love of signs and spectacles to shore up your position.
The Colosseum roars with your funded games, and the plebs chant your name, but the elite see a woman too bold for their liking. Gaius Silius is still a problem, his charm a flame you can't resist. Your meetings grow bolder, private dinners, stolen moments in palace gardens.
You know the risk.
Agrippina's spies are everywhere. Her son Nero a constant reminder of her ambitions. You counter with public piety, lavish gifts to Ceres, prayers for Britannicus's
future. But the rumors are a tide you can't hold back.
Historians still argue whether you were plotting to secure your son's throne or just addicted to the thrill of defiance. Were you scheming to outmaneuver Agrippina, or was Silius a weakness you couldn't control? Either way, you're playing a dangerous game and the stakes are climbing. Your children keep you grounded, their laughter a rare light in Rome's shadows. Britannicus is a bright boy, Octavia a quiet beauty, but you know their imperial blood makes them magnets for danger. Claudius's trust in you is your shield, but it's also a beacon for enemies. You hear of new conspiracies, senators meeting in secret,
freedmen whispering of betrayal.
You respond with ruthless precision, pushing Claudius to tighten his grip. But every move draws more eyes, and the court's patience is thinning. You're not just weaving a web, you're caught in one, and the threads are starting to snap.
Rome's waiting for your next play, and it's betting you'll overreach.
You're Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, and the Palatine Hill, once your glittering throne, now feels like a tightening noose. It's 47 CE slipping into 48, and you're in your late 20s, still a vision of beauty with a laugh that echoes through marble halls. But your eyes dart more these days, catching shadows where there used to be light. The palace hums with the usual, slaves polishing silver, the faint strum of a lyre from some distant room, the ever-present whisper of ambition turning to accusation. You're not just Claudius's wife anymore. You're a legend walking on cracking ice, and the court's starting to notice the fractures. You wouldn't survive a day in this shifting sand, one careless glance, and the rumors that once amused you now threaten to bury you alive. But you're not ready to bow out. You're still clinging to the reins, even as they slip. The exposure starts small, like a drip from a leaky amphora, but it builds. Whispers about your affairs have always floated around, but now they're gaining weight, backed by names and dates. Gaius Silius, that irresistible spark, is the loudest echo senators murmur about your late-night rendezvous, how his chariot's seen at the palace gates too often. You brush it off with a smirk at banquets, toasting to loyal friends, but your freedman allies like Narcissus are fidgeting, their loyalty tested by the growing storm. You sense the shift in the air, the way eyes linger not in admiration but suspicion. Agrippina's smile is sharper now, her presence at court a constant prod,
as if she's waiting for you to trip over your own silk hem.
Your power plays, once masterful, are starting to backfire. The executions you pushed, senators like Poppaeus Sabinus, accused of conspiracy, now paint you as a tyrant in whispers. A historical fact hangs heavy. The purge of 47 CE saw dozens fall, including your own kin. But Tacitus notes how your involvement turned public opinion sour, making you the villain in Rome's endless drama. You try to counter with more spectacles, funding a festival of Venus where dancers whirl in revealing tunics. But the mob's cheers feel hollow, laced with gossip. Here's a quirky tidbit. Rumor has it you consulted a soothsayer who warned of a fall from a high bed, which you laughed off as a bad night's sleep. But now it nags at you like a flea in your stola. The suspicions grow roots when your inner circle cracks. Calpurnia, that trusted courtesan, lets slip a detail to the wrong ear, maybe a bribe, maybe fear, and suddenly the Praetorian guards are asking questions. The helmet's hiding smirks. Claudius, bless his trusting soul, is still blind to it all, buried in his scrolls and senatorial debates. But his freedmen are circling, Narcissus chief among them, sniffing for weakness. You double down, throwing a lavish party where wine flows like the Tiber, charming everyone with your wit. But the laughter's forced, the glance is wary. Historians still argue whether this was the moment your downfall was sealed, or if you could have pivoted.
Reining in your excesses before they consumed you.
Were you too arrogant to see the signs? Or did Rome's ruthless machine just catch up? Your personal life's unraveling thread by thread. Britannicus and Octavia sensed the tension. Their games quieter, their hugs tighter. You hold them close under oil lamp glow, whispering stories of Rome's glory, but you know Agrippina's eyeing your son like a hawk spots a mouse. Silius presses for more, bold meetings.
Promises of forever, but you feel the noose tightening.
The court's buzzing with omens. A raven croaks on the Palatine roof. Priests mutter about unbalanced scales. You ignore them, pushing Claudius to exile another rival. But each move just feeds the beast. You're not just Empress now. You're a target, and the arrows are starting to fly.
Rome's patience is thinning.
You're Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, and the Palatine Hill.
Once your dazzling stage now feels like a trap snapping shut.
It's 48 CE, and you're pushing 30. Still a vision in silk with a smile that could sway a crowd. But your eyes are sharper now, catching every sidelong glance. The palace thrums with tension, slaves whispering in corridors, the scent of myrrh masking the stink of betrayal.
You're not just Claudius's wife.
You're a legend teetering on the edge. Your every move dissected by a court that smells blood. You wouldn't survive a day in this.
Viper's nest without your knack for
defiance. One wrong step, and you're not just exiled, you're erased. Your name a curse in Rome's streets, but you're not done yet. You're about to make a move so bold it'll either crown you or crush you. The scandal that defines you is no longer just whispers. It's a roar. You've crossed a line with Gaius Silius, that dangerously charming consul's son whose eyes burn with ambition to match yours. The court's buzzing with stories of your affair, but you don't deny them now. You double down. While Claudius is away, inspecting troops or canals or whatever he fusses over, you stage a wedding, a fake one, or so you tell yourself, to Silius in a Bacchic frenzy. Picture it, a villa draped in ivy, wine spilling over marble floors, you in a flame-red veil.
laughing as guests toast your union. A quirky tidbit?
They say you dance barefoot crowned with vines, calling yourself a new Dionysus, while Silius swore eternal devotion. True or not, it's the kind of stunt that makes Rome gasp, and you love the thrill even as it courts disaster. This isn't just a reckless fling, it's a power play, or at least that's what you tell yourself. Silius whispers of a future where he's emperor. You his empress, Britannicus secured as heir. You're not naive. You know Claudius's age and frail health make him a fleeting shield. But this wedding, this public spectacle, is a gamble gone wild. The court's in an uproar. Senators like Vitellius,
Once your ally, now hedge their bets.
while freedmen like Narcissus sharpen their knives. A historical fact anchors this madness. Tacitus records your marriage to Silius in 48 CE as a public event, witnessed by Rome's elite, though some say it was a symbolic rite, not legal. Either way, it's a slap to Claudius's face, and you're betting he's too besotted to strike back. The fallout's immediate. Agrippina's spies,
Always lurking, carry the tale to
Claudius's camp, faster than a chariot on the Appian.
way you're still reveling.
In the afterglow, Silius at your side when word reaches you, Claudius is returning.
And he's not smiling.
The court fractures. Some, like Calpurnia, beg you to flee. Others, like Narcissus, see a chance to climb over your corpse. You try to salvage it, throwing a festival for the harvest, all pious devotion to Ceres, but the mob's cheers are drowned by whispers of your betrayal. Historians still argue whether this was a calculated bid for power or a lovesick blunder. Were you plotting a coup with Silius, or did passion blind you to the consequences? Either way, you've lit a fuse and Rome's about to explode. Your children, Britannicus and Octavia, are your anchor, but even they feel distant now, their faces pale as you kiss them goodnight. You know Agrippina's circling, ready to pounce, her son Nero her weapon. You try to rally your allies, but the Palatine's a ghost town. Senators avoid your gaze. Praetorians grip their swords tighter. You cling to Claudius's love, banking on his forgiveness. But the omens are grim. A storm cracks over Rome.
lightning splitting a sacred oak.
You laugh it off, but your hands shake as you pour wine.
You're not just Empress.
You're a gambler who's bet everything on one throw, and the dice are rolling against you. The city holds its breath, waiting for Claudius's wrath. You're Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, and the Palatine Hill
Once your glittering empire,
now feels like a crumbling stage under a darkening sky. It's late 48 CE, and you're in your late 20s, still a vision with a smile that could sway a legion, but your heart's pounding like a war drum. The palace is a storm of whispers, slaves scurry with downcast eyes, the air thick with the metallic tang of fear. Your mock wedding to Gaius Silius has set Rome ablaze with scandal, and Claudius, your trusting emperor, is on his way back from Ostia, his face no longer soft with love but hard with betrayal. You wouldn't survive a day in this collapsing world. One wrong word, and you're not just exiled, you're a ghost. Your name cursed in every tavern, but you're not surrendering yet.
you're scrambling to save what's left of your empire.
Claudius's return is a thunderclap. He's no fool despite the court's smirks. His freedmen, Narcissus and Pallas, have filled his ears with every detail of your marriage to Silius. Picture it. You're in your chambers, silk stola clinging to your skin. When word comes that Claudius is back, his litter surrounded by Praetorian guards whose loyalty you can't buy anymore. You try to reach him, rushing to the palace gates, your hair loose, your voice pleading for an audience. But Narcissus blocks you, his face a mask of smug triumph.
A quirky tidbit?
They say you threw yourself at Claudius's feet, sobbing, claiming the wedding was a jest, a Bacchic rite gone too far. True or not, it's a desperate play, and Claudius isn't listening. He's cloistered with his advisors, their whispers poisoning what's left of his trust. The court's turned on you like wolves on a wounded deer. Allies like Vitellius, who once grovelled at your banquets, now slink away, muttering about loyalty to the emperor.
Agrippina's practically glowing.
Her son Nero paraded as the dynasty's future. You try to rally, sending messages to Silius to stand firm, but he's crumbling too, his charm no match for the Praetorians hauling him to a cell. Tacitus records that Claudius, swayed by Narcissus, ordered Silius's arrest in 48 CE, his trial a formality before execution. You're not just fighting for your life.
You're fighting for your legacy.
For Britannicus and Octavia, who huddle in their rooms,
Unaware their world's unraveling.
you retreat to your mother's villa in the gardens of Lucullus, a last refuge where roses bloom mockingly under a grey sky. You dictate letters to Claudius, swearing your love, blaming Silius, the wine, the gods, anything to buy time. But the Praetorians are closing in, their boots echoing like fate itself. You clutch a dagger, then toss it aside.
You're no Cleopatra, ready to die by your own hand.
The mob, once your adoring crowd, now jeers in the forum, fed by Agrippina's rumors. Historians still argue whether you could have saved yourself. Did you misjudge Claudius's heart, or was Narcissus's betrayal inevitable? Were you a schemer outplayed or a lover caught in her own trap? Either way, the city's turned, and you're running out of moves. Your final hours are chaos. You try one last plea, sending your mother to Claudius, but she returns with tears, not hope. The Palatine's a fortress now, guarded against you. You hear the senates debating your fate, their voices cold as marble. Britannicus's name is your last card. You beg for his future, but it's drowned by cries for justice. The air's heavy with omens. A wolf howls near the Tiber. Priests mutter about tainted altars. You're not just an empress anymore.
You're a fugitive in your own palace.
And Rome's ready to close the curtain on your story. You're Valeria Messalina, once Empress of Rome, now a fugitive in your own city. The Palatine Hill, a distant dream as you cower in the gardens of Lucullus. It's late 48 CE and you're in your late 20s. Your beauty still striking, but your eyes wild with desperation. Your silk stola torn from running through Rome's unforgiving streets. The air's thick with the scent of roses and betrayal. The distant roar of the forum a reminder that the mob's turned against you. Your mock wedding to Gaius Silius has shattered everything. Claudius, your once adoring husband, is now your judge. and his freedmen are baying for your blood. You wouldn't survive a day in this Rome, where loyalty's a myth and mercy's a fairy tale. One wrong move, and you're not just exiled, you're erased. Your name a hiss in history's pages, but you're still fighting, clawing for one last chance to save yourself. The trial comes fast, less a legal proceeding than a slaughter. Claudius, barricaded in the palace, lets Narcissus and Pallas run the show. They've got the Senate in their pocket, senators tripping over their togas to condemn you. You're not even there, holed up in your mother's villa, pacing under cypress trees, your heart hammering as you scribble frantic pleas to Claudius. You swear the wedding was a prank, a Bacchic revel gone wrong, but the words sound hollow even to you. Your mother, Domitia Lepida, tries to save you, kneeling before Claudius with tears and promises, but his face is stone. Narcissus has poisoned him against you, painting you as a traitor who'd crown Silius emperor and sideline Britannicus. You clutch at memories of Claudius's love, nights whispering under lamplight.
His hand in yours, but it's slipping away like sand. A quirky tidbit?
They say you tried to bribe a priestess of Vesta with a chest of pearls to plead your case, claiming divine favor, but the priestess spat in your envoy's face. True or not, it's a desperate move, and Rome's gods aren't listening. The city's alive with omens, a blood-red moon, a statue of Juno weeping tears of oil. You laugh, but it's a hollow sound. Your hands trembling as you pour wine you can't taste. The Senate's verdict is swift, death. No exile, no mercy, just a blade and a legacy in tatters. You hear the Praetorians' boots before you see them, crunching gravel as they surround the villa. You try to run, darting through rose bushes, thorns snagging your dress, but there's nowhere to go. Your mother holds you, whispering of courage, but her eyes are resigned. The guards burst in, led by a grim-faced centurion. You beg for Britannicus, for Octavia, but your voice cracks, drowned by their orders. Historians still argue whether you faced death bravely or crumbled in terror. Did you curse Claudius, or did you whisper his name one last time? Tacitus says you were offered a dagger to end it yourself, but refused, too broken to choose. Either way, the blade falls, and your story ends in blood.
Under a sky that doesn't care.
Your execution's a quiet affair.
No public spectacle, just a body in a garden carted away before dawn.
Rome moves on, the forum buzzing with new gossip.
Agrippina already stepping into your shoes.
Britannicus and Octavia are left to Claudius, their futures dangling by a thread. You're not just gone. You're vilified, your name a byword for treachery and lust. The Senate orders your statues smashed, your inscriptions erased. You're a ghost now, haunting the edges of Rome's memory. Your life a warning to those who dare too much. You're Valeria Messalina, or at least you were, now just a name whispered in Rome's shadows, a cautionary tale carved into the city's memory. It's 48 CE and your life's been snuffed out. Your blood staining the gardens of Lucullus, your empire reduced to a smear on history's scroll. The Palatine Hill hums on without you, slaves polishing marble, senators plotting, the air thick with wine and ambition, but you're no longer its heartbeat. Your story's done, but its echoes linger, twisted by those who write the tales. You wouldn't survive a day as a ghost in Rome's gossip mill. One misstep, and your legacy's warped beyond recognition. But let's walk through the aftermath. The myths, the half-truths,
And see what's left of you. Your death didn't end the drama, it birthed it.
the Senate, eager to please Claudius.
Orders your name erased from monuments.
Your statues toppled into the Tiber. Agrippina steps into the spotlight, her son Nero now the golden boy, while your Britannicus and Octavia are pushed to the margins, their futures dimming. The court moves fast to bury you, not just your body but your influence. Narcissus, that snake, spins tales of your treachery, ensuring Claudius never mourns too long. A quirky tidbit? They say a poet in the Suburra tried to sing a lament for you, but the crowd pelted him with rotten figs, shouting traitor's whore. True or not, it shows how quickly Rome turned, your once adoring mob now spitting on your name. The historians take over, and they're not kind. Tacitus and Suetonius paint you as Rome's ultimate seductress, a whirlwind of lust and betrayal who nearly toppled an empire. Your wedding to Silius becomes a legend, exaggerated into a depraved orgy that makes Caligula blush. A historical fact, Tacitus's Annals claims you seduced Silius to plot against Claudius, though he admits evidence is murky, relying on court gossip. Later writers like Juvenal turn you into a caricature, a nymphomaniac prowling brothels for thrills. But not everyone buys it. Some whisper you were a scapegoat, a woman too bold for Rome's patriarchal cage, your ambition twisted into villainy by men who feared you. Historians still argue whether you were a mastermind undone by love or a reckless hedonist who never stood a chance. Were you a threat to the throne or just a pawn in a bigger game? Agrippina's triumph is complete, but even she falls eventually. Proof Rome devours its own. Your name lingers in plays, poems, even graffiti scrawled on tavern walls, each retelling bending you further from truth. You're not just a person anymore. You're a myth, a ghost Rome can't shake, a story told to scare or seduce. The city moves on, its streets alive with new scandals, new emperors. The Colosseum roars, the Tiber flows, and the Palatine gleams under a new dawn. But somewhere, in the flicker of an oil lamp or the whisper of a breeze, your story lingers, a woman who dared too much, loved too fiercely, and paid the ultimate price. Rome won't forget you even if it tries. Now, as the tale of Messalina fades, let the weight of Rome's intrigues slip away. Picture yourself drifting on a soft current, the Tiber's gentle ripples lapping at your mind, carrying away the schemes, the daggers, the gilded chaos. The air grows cooler, the stars above Rome winking softly, their light a quiet promise of rest. You're safe here, wrapped in the hum of a distant fan, the world slowing to a whisper. No more plots, no more betrayals, just long,
Languid breaths, each one pulling you deeper into calm.
The Palatine's marble fades, replaced by a velvet night, warm and forgiving. Let your thoughts dissolve like wine in water, until there's nothing but peace, soft and endless.